Mr. President, Senator Al-Wari has this unique ability, with the greatest respect, I would call it an anesthetic ability, to consolidate 10 years of inactivity into 40 minutes. He's come here and he hasn't told us why. During 7 years under his leadership as Attorney General, nothing was done. This is 6 clauses. This is 6 clauses. But I understand why nothing was done, because he took a 6-clause bill and turned it into something so complex that I don't think anybody in this room still understands what he just said. And then has the gall to come and tell this chamber that he will put amendments on the floor if it is the Honourable Minister does not give an undertaking to consider his proposals. That's objectionable and offensive, to say the least. It's holding us in terrorem, because he's going to cause the sitting to go on for another 2 hours with an amendment to every clause here. That is not right, Mr. President. It's not right. But he has not told us why in 10 years, well, I understand it's so complex to him now. He's made this thing, six clauses so complex, but he hasn't told us in 10 years why he didn't do anything, and we know why. You see, Mr. President, there's a rule of law. There's a rule of law, which the PNM knows nothing about. And for the rule of law to be properly observed, laws must be publicly available. They must be updated, so that individuals know and their legal advisors know their rights and obligations and their duties easily. But that's not the PNM way. Their way is to hide, to obfuscate, to do things in silence and in darkness. Okay? And that is why nothing was done. Nothing was done for 10 years. 6 clauses, you know. 6 clauses to get this thing done. So don't come and tell us about the Digital Legislative Library. It is not authoritative. And please, Mr. President, I don't think, with the greatest respect, Senator Al-Wari could come here and tell the Chief Parliamentary Council and the Law Revision Commission how to do their jobs. We are guided by experts. We are guided by experts, the Chief Parliamentary Council, not the Senior Council, the Chief Parliamentary Council. So he's come and he said there's more work to be done, there's more work to be done. When will it end? For 10 years there was more work to be done and no work was done, Mr. President. Mr. President, that is their way, that's the PNM way. The importance of this bill, you know, as we're on the topic of protection of the law, something alien to the PNM, Mr. President. Senator Al-Wari again invoked Surat and Suraj and so on as his favorite thing. I suppose it takes up time in the 40 minutes. Surat and Suraj as an invocation. It's like a chant, a mantra, as they say. But let's go down that line and let's look at the same constitutional right to protection of the law, which the Privy Council said in Commissioner of Prisons and C. Passad 2001 case out of the Privy Council. It is a broad and all-encompassing right incorporating access to justice, access to courts, and access to legal advice. And I dare say, Mr. President, that no one here can deny that access to justice and access to the law would necessarily involve access to authoritative copies of the law as they are in force, without frustration and without impediment. And if that is so, Mr. President, Senator Al-Wari likes to talk about mandamus and we will be sued and we are judicial review, and he gone all the way to the courthouse already with a simple clause, with a simple 6-clause bill. But he hasn't told us that in 10 years, his administration may have been in breach of that protection of the law clause by denying citizens the right to have an unfrustrated access to the updated laws of this country. So don't come here and talk about mandamus and scare us with your amendments. We're not afraid. We're not afraid of that. Sometimes I wonder if you are piloting the bill here, but you're not. So, Mr. President, again, let me say how happy I am that this is finally being done. And it took a UNC government only a few months to get this thing going, when those on the other side took 10 years and did nothing, spoke for 40 minutes and said nothing, and now come here to praise themselves for doing nothing for 10 years and expect us to sit down and to accept amendments simply because you want us to go home early. That is not so. You can put your amendments. You can put your amendments. We are not threatened by them. Thank you very much, Mr. President.